we have we have a comment. Eric the Red says, "No stream today. Unhappy face? Question mark. Sire, I almost never miss a stream, but I am occasionally late. All right. Thursdays are very busy days for me. Thursday is brutal. I work like 8 hours on Thursdays. Alright. Plus the like in between hours. It's a nonstop. Thursdays are nonstop for me, pretty much. I went for a walk for like 20 minutes today. But I need a couple minutes between things. So we're often 10 to 15 minutes late once in a while. But I try not to cancel any streams. Okay, so Senor Cafe, you have a game. You're in the list, but it's in your study. So I've got a submission from Ubades, Eric the Red, Tomas, Mr. Coffee, Mirales, Asterbate, EB Tactic. We know. I'm just trying to find my mental strength to carry on this long day. Gossip train is close. Yeah. Gossip train. Man, speaking of the gossip train, Yabatas and I looked at like Hans versus Aronian. That was, dude. Who would play with this guy? Yeah, in a online tournament. Forget about it. All right, whatever. Coffee time. I had my coffee unfortunately much earlier. It's already worn off. I haven't had any beer or alcohol this week, but I'm getting like really, no, not the G4 move. It was like bishop d3, bishop e2 in the opening. I mean, that's very, very weird, you know. Who's Hans' coach? Bijak. Hans doesn't have a coach. He's proclaimed that a lot. All right. All right, let's go. It's also Engine's number 3 move. Bijak, he doesn't have a coach. Oh my god. Oh yeah, Dlugi is a famous cheater. Oh my god, that's his coach? Ugh. Yeah, Dlugi is kind of scummy. I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I mean, he's like before my generation. We only played once. He has a bad reputation. Very bad reputation. But I don't know enough about Dlugi to comment on it. But I mean, Hans claimed repeatedly he doesn't have a coach. He probably hung out with Dlugi maybe at his chess club or Dlugi. Move 11, I think, once went to one of those Dlugi things. Dlugi has a sort of like chess club or something in New York. I'm not sure that makes him his coach, you know. It's maybe a joke. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just a joke. They're just joking like Dlugi should be his coach or something. He'd be a perfect coach. Dlugi was, of course, you know, accused of cheating. He's a really sleazy blitz player. I always joke when you hang your rook on purpose in over the board blitz, that's like the Dlugi trick. It's a really sleazy thing to do. I did it once against a guy who I really disliked, and it worked for me, but normally I wouldn't do it against a sportsmanlike player. The Doogie trick is when you like you're playing over the board blitz and your opponent is like making automatic moves, not really paying attention in a winning position, and you just like put your rook basically in the middle of two squares, one of which like, you know, is directly in line with his rook. Now he just assumes that you would never like hang your rook on prise, so I mean people do it online all the time, but it's harder to do it in over the board blitz. That's the Doogie trick. Yeah, mentor is perfect. Yeah. Mentor. Yeah, Doogie is kind of scummy guy, as far as his reputation goes. Again, I don't have any personal experiences with Doogie, but all I know is like over my lifetime, he's had a shaky reputation. So, he said mentor. My only interaction with Doogie was our one tournament game, which was completely normal. But it's just his reputation. Kind of a snake oil salesman, sort of sleazy blitz player. He's had dubious things. Some people said he went to jail or something. I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that's perfect match for Hans. All right, so a match made in heaven. He was Donald Trump's chess coach. What's up, Juicebox Wizard? Guys, I'm sorry. We're going to get started. The first game here is a GM game submitted by Yabades. I think Kuznetsov is the name of the white player, but the important thing is that black is Grigor Gajewski, who's this Polish grandmaster. We're looking at this game from black's perspective. Did you got my game? I don't know. No, we didn't got your game. I'm gonna get the Sumaher game. I keep the queue of games private. I like to like favor certain players who pay me and like bribe me to let them go first out of order. We'll have to keep you guessing. All right, Sumaher, you must have just submitted it because I thought I checked before and it wasn't there. Okay, yesterday. Yeah, we want to keep everyone guessing and try to encourage people to donate to improve their place in the line. Okay. I'm gonna need. I need a beer. I just poured a beer. I've had a tough day today, so it's gonna take me a little while to get into the swing of things here. All right. E4, E5. We're looking at from black's perspective. Knight F3, Knight C6. Again, this is some Russian or Ukrainian, I think, maybe, I'm not sure, Kuznetsov. GM or IM, playing white, approximately 2480. Black is the Polish Grandmaster, Gajewski. This is a game from 2007. Yeah, 2007. It's a Spanish. The hell just happened? I've got Asturbates. Oh my god, it was Asturbates. Opening Explorer. That's why there's no games. Get that out of there. Masters. Okay. Okay, so Morphe defense, whatever. Rook E1. And now B5 is main line. Black can also play D6. I think this move deserves more attention. It's a little bit offbeat, but pretty solid for black. I've got to say, I just want to say something that people take for granted in the Roy Lopez, the Spanish. I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of people underestimate how serious this this extended fianchetto is in terms of like weakening black's queen side. It's so standard that I think a lot of people don't even like think about it. But I mean, it is essentially like a very weakening expansion of the pawns on the queen side. So I think like black oftentimes runs into a lot of problems. A move like this is a little more solid. It's kind of like a version of like Steinitz, you know. But anyways, now black plays d6. Of course, the marshal, if we want to play for the marshal, we castle. White plays c3, and then we play d5. But Gajewski plays d6, which is saying, okay, I'm not going to try to play the marshal. I'm just going to play like a mainline Spanish. White now plays c3. Black castles. White plays h3, preventing bishop g4, which is also the main line. White can also play Alyakin's like a4, the d4 move, which is very common, which allows bishop g4. But h3, for those of you that studied the Spanish opening, this is like the main line starting position. Now black plays Chigorin. Chigorin's, this is kind of like the classical way of playing. Knight a5. Other moves include bishop b7, knight b8, rook e8, h6, knight d7, a5. There's a lot of other moves. So knight a5, bishop c2, and now normally black plays c5. That's the most classic form of the Chigorin. The idea was to get the knight out of the way and use the c-pawn to influence the center at c5. But instead, there's this move, and I was not, and still am not, like familiar with it. It's almost like, you know, like a weird kind of martial gambit, basically. I mean, the knight's on the side of the board on a5. That's not something like, you know, you would think would be particularly useful in a martial gambit type scenario. I don't think I've ever analyzed the game from this, or of this variation. I wouldn't even know what it's called. I think that a lot of times, like, you can use reverse, let's say reverse logic. I mean, if this was good, then more people would have played it. I would have known about it, you know. The guess would be that it's slightly inferior for black, or else it would have been more popular in the first place. Most likely. It's a sideline that's not very well known, but sometimes such variations can be dangerous. If white doesn't know what he's doing, so Spectacular Camel saying it was a pretty trendy line back when it was played in 2007. Me, little old me, having really never played much e45, I was unfamiliar with it, but I would have had to have faced it with white if it had been played. It's odd, you know, that I think about it now. I haven't played that much e4 in my life, since I only started playing e4 when I was already a master in like 1991. I don't have as many games with e4 as d4, c4, other stuff. But, you know, the odd thing is I don't think I've ever had a Chigorin Spanish. I mean, maybe I did. You know, possibly I played a Chigorin Spanish against, probably I have had a tournament game, like a club level. You know, but I really don't recall. It's really become popular, though. Honestly, I think Spectacular Camel, the Chigorin like variation in general wasn't commonly played before this. I think it was only like post 2000 when the Chigorin variation of the Spanish started to come back into fashion. And even 2007 is kind of borderline. E takes d5. You know, okay, so if white doesn't play e takes d5, what is he going to do? I mean, white's only options here are knight takes e5, pawn takes d5. It's like the elephant gambit, or, you know, like you could decline the gambit with d4. You have 3 moves. This is just like way too passive. If white plays d3, I mean, you might as well just... Shirov played that. I mean, that's crazy. Shirov beat Leiko with it. It's passive for white. I mean, d3. I doubt that is really dangerous. So it looks like d4 turns out to be the main move. But I mean, you'd have to subject this to a lot of analysis in very sharp variations to determine like which of white's moves is best. After this, I don't know, but this pawn looks pretty problematic. You know, I mean, like you can't take that. That's suicide. Just saying, so you all understand, this position is like extremely dangerous for white. I wouldn't even consider it. So if like white takes on e5, black takes on e4, you know, I think white has to do like d4, and then this pawn is very like disruptive. What's my opinion? Are you serious? I said my opinion on Maxim Dlugy. He's got a bad reputation, but I don't personally, you know, I have almost no personal interactions with Max. We only played once in like 1997 or 8 or something, and I really just know he has a bad reputation. I know that he's been suspected of cheating online. So he's probably a good coach for Hans. But I'm a little bit too young to have, you know, a lot of first-hand contact with him. But I already gave a little talk about that in the beginning. You know, if you have like a dirty trick in blitz chess named after you, you're probably not like the most like reliable person in the world. Just saying. All right. So, anyways, back to the real world. d5, e takes d5, e4. This is a game. Oh, wow. So there's like tons of games with bishop takes e4. Yeah, I mean, this is my point, right? If white has to give up his light square bishop, this is dangerous stuff. Here, the problem for black is that you can't just take it straight away because of rook takes c7. So you have to play bishop b7. There's some complications. But I mean, I don't know. There's no way to defend this pawn. d4, bishop takes d5. Presumably, for example, rook e1. It looks to me like black has significant compensation. I mean, the white square bishop is so strong. I don't know. You know, I don't think black's position is real bad. But I guess you're probably fighting for a draw. Like, it's the black side of the Marshall, where you're down a pawn. Yeah, but statistics are really looking good for white here. But Gajewski's opponent instead didn't take the pawn. He played knight to g5. No, if I were black, I guess I would consider maybe bishop b7. Bishop b7, knight takes e4. I mean, it's like a Marshall. All of white's pieces are tied up. Black's knight is, though, also out of play. So I would think bishop b7 is an alternative. Knight takes e4, and then you can take with the queen. That's not so good though. You still end up having to like take with the knight on d5 because queen takes runs into, well, okay, you can play it, but take here, bishop e4, and white's going to exchange on that. No great square for the queen, and black's down a pawn. Not clear if he has really enough compensation or not. What happens in the game is knight g5, knight takes d5. Apparently, you know, with some ideas of coming in here. But notice like white's score here is like awful. So you're saying this was the first game where this was played. But it was played a lot subsequently. You know, look, the most recent game was Nick DeFermian losing to Pedro Matufi. Ouch. That's like a 2300 player. That's really bad. 2016, I guess Nick just didn't know the line. I would assume well enough. He's just not theoretically up to date. But, alright. Knight takes e4, f5. It's like a Marshall. Black's score is crushing. This is a serious problem. The knight has no good squares. It has to go to the world's worst square. Knight g3. Literally the world's worst square. I mean, you can play this. Guliev played this. Rodrigo Vasquez played it. Nick played it. F takes e4. I was thinking black might move the knight. F takes e4. Wow. This is how the DeFermian lost to a 2300. Oof. White has very little development. B takes a5. Ooh, you're getting crushed with bishop h4. This is a seriously bad move. So white has to play knight g3. It's like forced. Yeah, I had never seen this variation, or studied it, I should say. Well, either. But I mean, it's a good, you know, illustration of a typical position where the knight on g3 is very poorly placed. White is up a pawn. All of his pieces are Marshall gambited. Black has a bad knight. White has a bad knight. If we cancel out the bad knights, it's just like black has better development and white needs to get his pieces out. Computer says it's equal. f4. Oh. That's not forced, by the way. But I mean, what else is there? White isn't really threatening anything. You know, I like this knight that contains white. But if it's good, it's good. f4. What are we going to do? f3? If knight h5? Anybody? f3? Queen h5? Queen h5 runs into knight f6. Queen e5. Bishop d6. Game over. So basically white has to move the knight. Played here. And then f3. I mean, this is the kind of position, if you played this line, you know, if you're like Gregor's Gajewski and he played this line, it's the kind of thing where like you could have had this, like, you know, even if it was a stem game, you bought us, he easily could have had this if he was playing strong players online. Kind of like a forcing variation. It's very possible the guy had like 10 blitz games where he had already reached this position, even if he hadn't played it over the board. It sort of plays itself. So you can see like black played it, you know, after this game a lot. Lots of decent players falling into this. Wang Hao managed to make a draw with white. And white's kingside is just like trashed. So the human shield. I noticed that like white played king takes g2 in 2 games. I mean, I'd really like to see the case for playing king takes g2 in this position. I'd be willing to bet like those are 2 of the weaker players in the list who play king takes g2. I mean, seriously. I was just teaching one of my beginner students the concept of like the human shield and hiding behind the enemy pawn. If you put your king on this diagonal with the bishop going to b7, not even to mention the possibility of h3, but I can't imagine this is a realistic possibility. Yeah, Rafael Rodriguez, he's crazy. It's surprising that Rahman, a reasonable like grandmaster 2500 would play that. I think that white is lucky the pawn is like on g2. I would leave it there, man. There's no way I'm taking that. Instead of f3, what about bishop h4? I don't think it really does anything. I don't see what it does. What doesn't it do? What doesn't it do? No, I mean, I don't see what it does. f3 is very important. It boxes in the queen. It threatens to trash his king side. I think it's like... So d4, fdg2, knight g3. And this is how Wang House survived. Early Gawain Jones, 2007. Knight g3, queen d6. Is black playing knight odds? White has four pieces, well, 3 pieces undeveloped on the queen side. Black with just 1. I mean, we could say, okay, we could say this and this are developed. So theoretically, black is got the knight out of the game, white has the knight out of play, but white has an extra rook out of play. This is still out of play, though. Black needs to mobilize here, while white's still in bed. So queen d6. You know, there is the possibility of queen coming here. I was thinking about queen d7, but you gotta watch this square. This queen h5 is a huge deal at some moment. So queen d6 could be connected. I mean, if queen h5, this supports g6. You can play g6, defended by the queen. I mean, that way you wouldn't have to waste time with something like knight f6, pulling your knight away from the center. So I guess queen d6 makes it possible to move the other rook. Maybe you're preparing bishop h4 in some lines. It makes bishop h4 great again. Alright. This is not a developing move. It feels like it's now or never for white to like develop his pieces. You know, you almost wonder, is black threatening rook takes f2 if it were like black's move here? Not quite, right? It's close. I mean, it's really close. We're getting close. But this feels like not a developing move, Asterbait. Wang Hao played this and survived against Jones. Queen d3, g6, and knight e4. And now queen e6, that was weird. But this move does not develop new pieces. Bishop b7. And now white play knight f5. I have a bad feeling about that. Yeah, I mean, this is like, again, don't forget to develop your pieces. I have instinct that I didn't play through the game before, but this is going to be flashy. Bishop takes f5. We sack the exchange. Black's still, you know, mobilizing against his undeveloped pieces. Rook f8. Now, obviously, there's a check here. But I guess it doesn't necessarily do anything special. Oh, what does he do? Like sack his queen? Yeah. But you know, this is only a very minor sacrifice. It's a very minor sacrifice. I mean, you're giving up 1 point of material. with this queen sacrifice. Rook takes bishop, rook takes queen. You know, it's one pawn. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, this could have been a rapid game. I'm not sure what it's from, but white has got to be like lost here. It's funny that the knight on a5 never did get developed. Wow. I would definitely want to consider taking that and giving the material back, right? Why can't I take this? Hello? Oh no, knight b3. So that's why. Check, takes. Exactly. Here, and then knight b3, and then you win the bishop here. I mean, to be honest, this like might be like white's only chance, though. I would say. That's seriously. Wow. That holds. Jeez. That's unbelievable, man. The guy didn't take on g3. Face palm. Are you serious? He could have taken the bishop and like just bailed out and he was okay. That's insane, man. I mean, I would have calculated that variation and been like, all right, I got to do it. I'm going to just try to hold on here. This guy, I guess, was like irrationally trying to win now with f3. Look how active the black pieces are. I mean, it's a wonder if something bad happens here to white. Is it a wonder? Bishop f4. So he figured he has time to play a takes b5. Interesting. Bishop takes c1, threatening bishop e3 check. Among other things. Takes. So apparently bishop e3 check, not the best move. White takes the pawn on g2. So he goes here. Oh no. Wonder what happens if pawn takes a6. You kind of wonder, I mean, this is a problem now. Okay, so that's really a threat now. That's the point. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, no denying bishop e3 is a threat now. So he played this with ideas and preventing bishop e3. Bishop takes f3. So you've got rook f8 if necessary. Now white plays b takes a6, and not surprisingly, white is in trouble. Check here. Bishop f4 check. Oops. This is funny. This is hanging. Here. And now obviously if rook takes a5, white has queen e8 mate. So he has to play this first to decoy the white queen. So there's no mate on e8. He takes it and takes. And now black is threatening rook h5 mate. And more importantly, he only has queen h4 to stop the mate. So like here, he resigned, but let's say queen e1, rook h5 check, queen h4. There's no bishop g2 check because of king g4. No, it's not. It's not working. I want to know if there's something better we can do. After queen takes, we have to play this. Now here. Maybe, the problem is there's a mate here on e8, so we can't play like rook takes a6. It basically looks like it's forced here. I mean, is there still a chance? I realize the bishop's stopping the pawn and stuff. Is this that easy? You have to play this. Oh, he's just getting mated with the pawn. Oh my god. Right. Never forget to play for mate. Check. King h3. Check. King h4. Oh my god. g3. Oh my god. That's really sick. And so the only move, because of this, the only move is basically like to give up your knight with knight e2, I think. You'd have to give up the knight, or attempt to do so. And then we get like this, presumably something like this. And, luckily for black, 2 bishops against the king is winning. A7. I mean, I presume black is winning here. But anyway, it was a crazy game. Wow, thank you for submitting that. That was fun. Yeah, that was really fun. But the guy's crazy. I mean, White's crazy. He had a draw, man. He should have taken a draw. That's irrational. All right. He's lucky he had a draw because he completely lost the initiative in that game. You gotta have a feeling. The opening is the Gajewski Gambit. All right, Gajewski. I need to speak better Eastern European. As someone who's lived in Hungary since 2004 and beyond. All right, Grigor Gajewski. Let's go on to Eric the Red, or E.B. Farnham. This is a game against me. Me. All right. I hate it when people submit their games against me, but it's legal. It's legal. All right, you can do that. So, this is simul game. Eric the Red is white. Please tell me you were trying. I always try. Agnes Gajewski. Agnes Garajewski or something. It's not the same. Garajewski. Different name. Of course I'm trying, but I messed this up. Yeah, F3 is kind of an annoying variation. Black's best move is E5, but I've never really enjoyed playing those types of structures. It's pretty weird. If I was to play this on a high level, I would play E5. E5 is hands down Black's best move. You can see the statistics. I know that, but it's just the theory's kind of weird and very deep, and other lines I played the black side of the Najdorf. Curious attack type of stuff with E6 or English attack. It's not the safest. So I often play this, though I'm too predictable. I need another line here for black. Again, if I had to choose, I feel like I looked at this once. Knight takes d4. I have a lot of gains this variation. Mark Hebden played queen e2 against me in blitz. That's an interesting move. Kind of like a dragon. Like a... It's like a queen d2 dragon. But I don't know what the best move is. I've faced probably everything here. The variation is okay for black. It's not great, but it looks like this is very rare. I mean, I really don't know. Yeah, I had this. Knight takes d5, knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, queen takes d5. I think I had an opponent who played queen d2 against me. I faced every possible continuation. With black, I played against this a lot. What else did I face? Queen takes, queen d2. Yeah, this is just very equal. I've even experimented with knight to b4. This is kind of risky. Maybe that was the game where I almost got in trouble. I guess that was the game where I almost got in trouble against Karacha and Gellert. I had to fight for a draw. I guess I played knight b4 against him. Budapest Team Championship a couple years ago. Lower rated FIDE master. I think we had something like queen d2, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, and like bishop f2. White was like a little better. I can't remember now. I ended up having to draw like down a pawn in ops color, bishop ending. But you know, I know this variation isn't that great for black, but it's not bad. It's playable. You don't want to be too predictable. But it's funny, there's two really old games here. Botvinnik, I know who all these people are. Except for the last one. Botvinnik died. I remember he was trying to sell me, like, literally sell me snake venom. He wanted me to get into the snake venom business. And then he, like, got cancer and died. I was like, I'll think about it. I don't know if I'm really, interested in getting into the snake venom business. That was his big idea. But snake oil salesman. He was literally a snake oil. Snake oil venom. B takes C. Yeah, it's surprising there's just two games where this happened. So Budnoy played e5. Lichess played here. f4. e6. But I think that black has a good position here. Knight a4. And then c5. What does the engine say? Yeah. Black is good there in that line. So I always thought this was nothing, to be honest with you. Vide Levente's opponent played knight takes d5. It's kind of weird because Levente always plays the c3 Sicilian. It's sort of strange to see a game where he played the open Sicilian. But this is back to 1999. I don't know. I mean, knight takes is fine, but white could try something like bishop d4. That's what Levy did, of course, trying to keep the structure intact. So I don't know. I played a new move. This looks to be best, though. Computer says it's like equal. C takes is correct. Now your queen d4 is the engine. No, no longer the engine number one move. But you did play g4. I'm sure if I was playing Hans, I would have lost this game. I mean, I don't know. I thought I was fine. You ended up playing one of the top moves, very logical, blockading and preparing to castle queenside, but the b file is very dangerous for white. You know, so typically people who play such a variation, you know, aren't like gonna castle queenside. I played the best move now, e6, and then the craziness started with g4. I mean, g4 is popular in these structures. What exactly do you mean by these structures? I mean, g4 is popular, like, yeah. I mean, in the English, of course, in the English attack or something. But I mean, normally when white like has a standard position, where white has like e4 still and black's pawn is back on d5. But of course, like g4 is a typical idea. I was a little surprised you played it like before castling. I would think like white would probably want to put king safety first before starting active operations. But maybe it's just making me think of the Aronian Hans game. For those of you that haven't seen that, totally different position with some similarity, but Hans should have, Aronian should have played h6 in the opening. And this is something that black definitely has to consider here. But it will weaken my kingside in the long term. He's going to castle queenside anyway. So, but I mean, to me, I was thinking white's attacking too early. Rook b8, castle queenside. So this point is very dangerous. It's normal to castle queenside in the Sicilian, but not necessarily when black has a half open B and C file. You know, you have to be very sure about this. I remember analyzing this with the computer, and it said I should have played. I think it said I should have played a different move, like bishop b7 or knight d7 or something. The engine wanted something else, not queen a5. Knight d7. For some reason, this idea didn't occur to me because I thought I was in trouble with g5. I never could have played this. I was afraid, but there seems to be some sort of crazy ideas. Knight d7 is a move I guess I would consider. You know, I mean, preemptively, like moving the knight off of f6. Objectively, it seems like a good idea. But the problem is, like, if I do that, I can't move my bishop anymore. So I played this kind of intuitively, and now you completely shocked me. It's like white's 1 minute he's playing g4, and next minute he's trading queens. I didn't think white would go for a queen trade. I thought white was like trying to attack me, but I think this is, there's some danger here, you know, for white. I mean, I might be threatening bishop a3. Probably not, because you can escape out to d2. So I'm not sure if I have a really major threat just yet, but I just remember being surprised by this move. And that's, I'm not sure if it's the best move. It's a good move. The computer thinks the position is better for black, but only microscopically. Yeah, it's the number one move of the computer. Queen a4 check. Counterintuitive, though. what bothered me was losing my A pawn, and you know, if you come in here, I'm going to lose my A pawn. I played bishop d7, but it was a mistake. I think again the computer is going to say I should have just played like knight d7 or something. But I felt it was like, I mean, you can play moves like c4 here. Your king is not in any danger anymore. I'm not sure this is a good move actually, but just saying, like, I felt that knight d7 was like retreating and passive, so I made a mistake. I expected you to play knight c5, and you're better after that. But at the last minute I was afraid like this was a good move, but it turns out I think it wasn't a problem. I mean, I just play bishop e5 and I'm fine. So you actually played the strongest move. Bishop takes c5, and now I have a problem. I didn't want to do this, but I had to find like a fast solution. So it was like a simple solution. I thought, you know, average player wouldn't have the technique to exploit White's advantage here. But the next move is another like queen a4 move, where you played a very counterintuitive move that's extremely strong. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, if you give this position to if you gave this position to most players, they would probably, I don't know, play like bishop d4. Nah, that lets me castle. I don't know, h4. There's all sorts of moves. Most people would just exchange on b5 and be done with it, you know. I mean, I'm almost certain. But the idea of, you know, leaving my bishop active on b5 and playing bishop g2 where it's buried by your own pawn, that's pretty deep if you ask me, you know. Because this thing is extremely ugly right now. My bishop's very active and yours is bad. So you have to see the future, you know, pretty clearly to make a move like that. Most people, you know, they can't see the future. They just think about the here and now. This is a deep move, you know, where you're planning for the future. I guarantee the computer will be like bishop g2 is the best move. Did I say guarantee? Yeah, see? Well, I mean, I can feel really strong moves when I see them. This is another engine number 1 move. Bishop g2. Because Karpov has a famous game against Sassanko where he does this counterintuitive bishop b7 back to c8 with black to avoid the exchange of bishop pair. You're essentially doing the same thing he did against Sassanko. Not because it's like a one square move, but the idea of putting your bishop on a bad square to avoid the exchange of bishops is long-term thinking, which most people are not capable of. So bishop g2 is like exclamation point. And now I played what? Knight d7. You stayed on the diagonal. I have to play like f6 here. I was almost lost. I guess it's more accurate to play rook e1 first. You played f4, and now suddenly your bishop's not bad. Here. And that's a miracle, you know. I mean, so this is why it's a mistake. I mean, basically after rook e1, I'm in big trouble. You just do the same thing in a different order of moves. Rook e1, king f7, f4. And now I don't have the saving grace. And you're threatening to like shred my pawn structure with f5. White's perfectly coordinated now. Black's hanging on by a thread here. So I was just lucky, you know, super lucky that you played f4 first. and I have this resource. It just saves me. At least it keeps me in the game. And now there. King f7, and I'm barely hanging on. I think the computer said you were still better here. You maybe you have to move the bishop, but you might have like rook g1 or something like that. But at least I like damaged your pawn structure. There was a moment now, if I remember correctly, here, here, here. I thought you had another move somewhere. Bishop e4. Anyways, I would have been content to just hold here. White is still slightly better. I got lucky again because you missed the tactic, rook takes. And then I'm hitting c2. So there was 2 tactical moments that you missed, but strategically black was like lost. It was a good strategic game where you just made a couple of really silly tactical errors. Okay, thank you. Thomas Treinson, is he here with us? Is up next. What's up, Uber driver? Cooking Rooks, subscribe, resubscribe. Cooking Rooks has resubscribed for 3 tier 3. Tier 3. 20 months in a row. Wow. Cooking Rooks, I can't believe it's been 20 months already. He took a break from chess a while back, a little short break. But he hasn't been around much. Cooking Rooks, good to see you back with us. Thanks for resubscribing. He's that other tier 3er. Thanks for the support, bro. Here's for the Trump organization. All right, what are we gonna do? E4, C5, D4. Uh-oh. What is this? Thomas Treinson playing the Smith Gambit. 20 months of putting up with Uber drivers. Comments on the stream. It's my first beer all week. I really needed that. All right. So Thomas Treinson, I don't think orange will look good on you. I don't think Thomas is here. This is funny, man. I played the exact same game, and I never played the Smith Gambit with white. But just for fun, I played it on Wednesday. The exact same move was played against me. Oh, that was Draco Fire. I just don't get this, you know? I think the problem is that people think they're playing the black side of the Danish Gambit or something. Yeah, no, I mean, they don't understand, man. They think they're playing the black side of the Danish Gambit. Another one of our favorite viewers, Arsenal fan, he had a big theory about this as well. Oscar Pano played it in 1980. Alexandra, the chess queen. Axel Ornstein. Oh man. So it's like, it's a thing, but I don't like it. Like, fundamentally looks wrong. I have to agree with Uber Driver on this. This move gets the Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
No!
Not good. You know, I don't like Bishop e4. Not to say it's not playable. Why play it? You know, life's too short to play bad variations. Why should you play that? And you're like, oh, but the statistics said that black's got a plus score. You know why black has a plus score? Because black has a plus score in the entire Smith Gambit. Because good players don't play the Smith Gambit with white. The statistics are all messed up. Yes, it's playable, and it's okay for club players, but, no strong masters play this opening. For a reason, It's well known, the theory's been pretty well worked out, and white just equalizes at best. But the statistics are skewed. White should have at least an even score here, objectively. Alright. Definitely castle. Now knight on g to e7. I think I had the game yesterday. I don't remember what I played, because I don't know what I'm doing. I played like either queen e2 or bishop f4 probably against Dracofire. I don't remember when he exchanged on c3, but that's definitely not necessarily a good idea for black. My first time donating. How long does it take to go through? It depends. Should be pretty quick. If you donated via PayPal, it should go through almost immediately. If you donated through PayPal on Streamlabs, yeah, it'll go through, but it won't go through through the Streamlabs. Thank you for the donation. It only is shown on the stream if you donate through PayPal on Streamlabs. I mean, it only goes in the link, the streaming banner. But thank you. Yeah. So okay, Thomas played bishop. I like bishop f4. That makes sense. So this is like my exact. Pretty much, no, I didn't play bishop f4. You know what? Because Dracofire had exchanged on c3 at some point earlier, which is bad. I ended up crushing him because my bishop went to a3 and strafing that diagonal. So it looks like queen e2 is the number one move. Maybe I did play that. Let's see. Player. Me. All set. No games. Yeah, the move order was slightly different. So I guess Tomas, you should play queen e2. What we're hoping for is we're hoping that black is a dimwit and plays bishop takes c3, and lets you, maybe get the bishop to a3 in some variations. But this move, the classic plan of rook d1 down the d file. I'm sure that bishop f4 is okay as well. Queen e2 hinders d5. The Hindenburg. Fancy word. To make more difficult or prevent. Hinder. Verb. No, bishop takes c3 is ugly. I don't think I'd ever want to do that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he could do this, right? He could do this. But it's pretty ugly. Yeah, it's playable. Because he could get his bishop out, or also take with the knight. Queen e2 is better. So he did take, but he didn't play d5. Oh my god. I think you have to. If black doesn't play d5, he's going to be in the permanent bind. So the d5 takes, and then black can capture either way. If knight takes, I think white has to start thinking about seriously just playing for a draw. Welcome to the Smith Gambit. You know, maybe we have to be realistic and just go in opposite colored bishops and accept the fact that we're, you know, just going to try to equalize here. Down a pawn and opposite colored bishops isn't so bad. We can probably hold a draw. If white wants to win, you're going to have to play more accurately. Thomas is white here. You can't afford to play the more by making accuracies, I guess. But alright. Black made a huge blunder. Castles, and now bishop d6, and now white is like better. Rook e8. Better. He's got to play b6 and try to get the bishop out, you know, on that diagonal. And the question is, how quickly can white organize an attack on the king's side before black has time to unravel? Maybe b5 is even a good move. Well, that's what he played, knight g5. I don't know if it's winning, but it's a legal move. That is a legal move, my friend. I doubt it's winning. Who said it's winning? Knight g5 winning. Yeah, I think it's winning if we have like a rook on d3 or something. Maybe. We need a rook in the area, like here, here. Rook here? You're exaggerating. I think Bijak's been drinking again. Black played knight g6. No, I don't think white's winning. I'm not even sure like knight g5 is the best move. I mean, maybe we should keep building. White can still improve his pieces in this position. But I guess he wanted to hinder the idea of knight g6 or something. Hinder the idea of h6. Hinder the idea of knight g6. So this is the idea. Basically to get this in. And now h6 maybe doesn't work. Exactly. Now we have a tactic. But I mean, the problem is it's an astrobate. It's an astrobate move, you know. Big Mike said you're never supposed to start an attack until all of your pieces are developed. That's not strictly true. You know, in this case, like, black's pieces aren't developed either. So, he only has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces developed. Sort of. Not very well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. But we still didn't get our rooks in the game. Can we, you know, can we really attack black without getting the rooks in the game here? Uber driver, h4 is a move. You know, it's definitely a move. I like the idea of h4, h6. We should introduce a new rule where you can move your pawn to h6 on one move. Once a game. Only once a game. It's like we need to come up with a new version of chess where I could just play h6 in one go. A hyper-accelerated pawn move. I think if you try h4, you know, he's going to wait and then play h6 when you play h5, try to hold you off. But I agree, h4 is definitely an option. But black can't screw around here. I mean, he should consider sacking a pawn. That probably won't save him, though. I guess just b6. And white's attack is pretty strong. But again, if here, he tries to hold on. I like how his knight has no squares. How big is white's advantage? Like +1? Not as big as we thought. Not even existing. Wow. Stockfish not a fan of h4, h5. Uber driver. Alright, let's try something else. Stockfish, yeah, doesn't believe in h4. You never said h4. Who said h4? I was blaming it on the wrong person. It was Bijak, sorry. What was I thinking? Uber driver would say h4. Guys, welcome to fall. It's Chigorin month. So he plays knight g5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to do, to be honest. I guess black has to pull the trigger on h6 here. You gotta do what you gotta do. But that will at least slow down the future of h4, h5. You know, of course white can consider funky moves like this. Sometimes you like dance around. Stop that. Sack it. What is this, bug house? That's just game over, bro. There's no sacking it. It's game over. You've been hanging out with the Mayhem Master too much. Yeah, it's speculative at best. This is Emery Tate style. Computer will kick your ass every time. We don't have enough pieces. You're only minus one, B-Jack. You almost have enough compensation for that sack. Yeah, I mean, in the Emery Tate world, that's enough. If you're smoking a bowl and drinking Long Island iced teas, like between rounds, or just analyzing, this is good for the groupies. They believe in that. You know, no. It doesn't work. White has to retreat. You know, the question is, like, which way? Here. Do we try to play knight h3? I like that better. You know, trying to hit f4. Then I guess you still got the f4, f5. So black probably waits. He plays like b6. If you play knight f4, I can try to trade pieces, maybe. I just think that black's hanging on here. Alright, this move, though, it looks like now we're in trouble. I remember, I think that actually Tomas did something similar against me in a game. Yeah, the f4, it's very nice. It's very nice. Black has queen g5, so you gotta do this now. I wonder if black has anything with like queen b6 check. Can we play queen b6 check? Oh no. Uber driver, the master of truth. Alright, let's take Uber driver's line and we'll show the best line. Queen here. Very nice move. If queen takes, knight takes. White has f5, threatening to play g3. I suspect that we're going to get our piece back. For better or for worse. White will get back their investment here. Your IPO. At least. You know. It doesn't win a piece. But queen h4, it probably does force a trade of queens. Which maybe allows black to breathe. Like he has a chance to live, at least, after this. I guess. I don't know. What do you do? King g8. The distractionary b5. Knight a5 or king g8. Knight a5 or king g8. b5 is not as good. b5 never works. Anyway, nice try, Uber driver. Queen h4 would hold on, but white's still like equal. Oh, that was the game. It actually happened. Wow. I didn't think this actually happened. And then he played queen f3. Interesting. So avoiding the exchange of queens. There's this element, you know, in some lines. But I don't blame Tomas for trying to avoid the exchange of queens. The truth is he could have exchanged the queens, but he didn't think he could. Queen f3. I mean, he gets his piece back with f5 and g3. This makes me a little bit worrisome. But actually, how is that going to matter? Black needs to play king g8. Oh my god. I mean, I think we have to play king g8. Because the point is, after f5 here, that's not really what white wants. White has compensation for the sacrificed piece, but I think black's still alive. But this move looks very bad. I'm sorry, sire, but there's no time for that. Elvis has left the building. Yeah, man. Oof. There was no time for a6. Now he's toast. Yeah, I mean g3 is possible. The queen has to go here. But I'm not sure it really matters in the grand scheme of things, unless we're like trapping the queen. Maybe we are. I mean, black can always play something crazy, I guess. Here. He's not getting that queen out, though, is he? Oof. Yeah, I guess it just wins the queen. Wow. There's no, wait, there is a move. Wait. Queen h3 here. h5. The move I would find with black, I don't necessarily see with white. It's still a terrible position for black, though. He's getting hammered with f5 in all variations. Anyway, yeah, black messed up. Now he's hosed. f5 here, boom, and it looks like close to mate. King g6. We got it. Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to have to just take the rook. We don't have anything else. Nothing fancy. We wish we had like bishop on d3. We could play for more than just taking the stupid rook. Black doesn't have any counterplay anyway. That's bad. At least black finally developed his queen side. Check. Check. And checkmate. Alright, good game. Looks like queen e2 is more accurate than bishop f4 in the opening. Okay, Mr. Coffee. Why the king seems naked. He decided to play bishop b4 and bishop takes c3 in the Smith gambit for some reason. Generally speaking, you want to keep your dark square bishop in the e6 variations of the Smith gambit with black. Alright, Mr. Coffee, where is your game? Mr. Coffee has a very special study of his own. We go to the special Mr. Coffee world. Submission for Thursday's stream. Wait a minute. Sorry if it's not in the correct format, but I think you can still copy it over. What? Let me know if you prefer PGN in this chat. That was very... No, I'm just kidding. It was relatively polite. Let me know if you prefer PGN. I'm a little bit sensitive. I think I tried to copy it over, but it didn't work. I don't think it worked. What is that? Why didn't it work? It won't copy over. Alright. Share and export. You know, if they would only enable a way to like copy it, can you copy and paste this? There's no way that's gonna work, right? That's not happening. Alright, we're just gonna analyze it right here. I'm not gonna copy it over to the study. Why would I do such a thing? Make my life difficult. You're sorry about it. I'm sorry. You better be sorry, Mr. Coffee. I'll take your moddership away. I'll send you for lessons with Max Dlugy. This is like the most bestest relevance Max Dlugy has had in like, what, 20 years or something? Seriously, even being mentioned, gotta be negative publicity. Any publicity is good. This is the most relevant Max Dlugy's been in the last like 20 years. Seriously. The last time he was like in the news was, I guess he was being like banned on chess.com or something. All right. He taught Hans everything he knows about cheating. All the stories I know about Max Dlugy are secondhand. As I said, we played once, our only interaction, and it was a totally normal game. I lost on the white side of Makaganov, King's Indian, in Las Vegas, approximately 1999. No, I said 97 or 98 or something. What did I say? Yeah. Whatever. Max Dlugy, I can't say that for some reason. Dude, he's good at grabbing pawns. Dude, he taught me how to, like, you know, sleazily hang my rook and get my opponent to lose a rook in the process. He has, like, bullet tricks named after him. Dirty bullet tricks. He's a really respectable guy. You know, a lot of people assume because people are like grandmasters that somehow they're like good people or something, you know, and that's totally unrelated. Alright, this is the second round of a quads tournament. Time control, game 40, with 5-second delay. It's like, if you're a grandmaster, you must be a stand-up person. This is the second round of quads tournament. Okay. Good to see you back in the tournament scene, Mr. Coffee, after all this pandemic business. Are you serious? You're playing black? You're sure you're not white in this game? This is like Mr. Coffee versus Mr. Coffee. Gotta get cooking rooks to his first tournament. E6. Mr. Coffee faces his own, like, one of his own favorite openings. What is that on the screen? That's weird. Isn't Bishop G5 too hard to play? No. I don't think it's great, though. The difference between the Trompowsky and the Tory attack is that White's knight is committed to F3. I think that makes quite a bit of difference. White has more flexible options on the white side of the Trompowsky versus the Tory attack. Knight f3 is like very committal. He can't move his f pawn. In the Trompowsky, f3 and f4 are very important like concepts, particularly f3, which often involves like kicking a knight on e4 or something. So here in this particular position, h6 is a main move. Now this can transpose to a Trompowsky. After h6, bishop f6, queen f6 is literally a Trompowsky transposition. But once again, I think the knight on f3 like takes all the dynamism kind of out of white's position. In these type of lines, you want to be able to play like e4, queen d2, knight c3, and f4, and white's knight is in the way. So white can't really get anything. There's no justification for giving up your bishop. White would play bishop h4. Mr. Coffee, I think a lot of experts on the anti-Indian, anti whatever, queen's pawn in Indian variations would argue that probably playing h6 is like beneficial for black. You're supposed to play h6 and then you can play, that's like a good addition. Then you can play c5, e3, and then b6. I think this is like kind of recommended as one of the go-to systems for black. h6 is probably, restricting white's options a little bit. The bishop's forced back to that diagonal. There's one idea in particular. When you go, let's say like here, 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 bishop e7, castles, like this bishop only has one square it can go to. So, you might be able to do something like, I don't know, knight h5, trade the pieces. But I mean, it's not necessary. Even if the bishop was on g5, you could play knight d5 and force the trade of pieces. But c5 is fine. c3 is always kind of passive for white. The problem is here. It's not my Dlugi. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, like, thinking of my game with Naj Gabor last month. This b6 is kind of funky, I don't mind it, actually. I used to think this was better for white, but I'm not so sure anymore. You could go ahead and be able to go ahead and do this. I'm okay with this. I had the game with Naj Gabor like a month ago. The exact same position. You just do like the hippo sort of thing with like queen e7, g6, bishop g7. You set up a hippo structure. White doesn't really have any compensation for the missing dark square bishop, but it's a little bit tricky to play if you're not used to it because you don't have a lot of space. So, alright, knight c6, e3, b6. This is the dilemma in these positions, though, for me at least. Your knight is in the way. It drives me crazy. So eventually, it's like, where does it go? Rook e1 novelty. Yeah, I mean, normally white plays knight on bd2 here. So let's say castles. Now you're probably going to see some rook e1s. So eventually the question is, like, what do you do? Yeah, no, white's playing black. It is, sort of, But the point is, like, if you do this, if he does this, you're like, just offer a draw immediately. Your opponent is a chicken, and it's going to be a really boring game. But if he takes this way, the problem is, like, what do you do with your knight on c6? I was talking about this. This is a normal idea. You got to force an exchange of pieces. Bishop takes e7. Knight takes e7. You get the knight back here. Now, there are other situations where black can try to play like a hedgehog with d6, but the problem with the position is the knight is on the wrong square. If you want to play a hedgehog, your knight has to be on like d7. So I've actually had games where I've seen some good players do this, like literally retreat the knight back to b8, but it costs a lot of time. If you have to undevelop your knight back like a Zaitsev variation of the Roy Lopez to bring it back, play a6 and turn it into a hedgehog with knight d7, by that time, like, white might have developed some threats. So it's always a tricky situation to figure out exactly what the best move would are. I think the best policy is just try to do that, exchange of pieces. If you exchange the pieces, you're pretty solid here. Why even put the knight on c6? Well, it doesn't import a thing. When you have this kind of structure, white is eventually going to be playing like e4. And the knight puts pressure on the center. It helps to put pressure on the center. It also helps to put pressure on b4. So if you follow this position, the reason why white doesn't play e4 in this kind of position is because you can take here and then like plop your knight into b4. This is the only reason why basically white doesn't overrun black immediately as soon as he can play e4. You need this threat to come in there on b4 to keep white honest from playing e4. You might see somebody play, let's say, like a3 here. Then you have a problem. You can't allow e4 probably like too early. So at this point, you probably have to bust out the d5. We were trying to avoid committing to that because now white can go with like a kingside stonewall type of attack. But I mean, I think at this point, if you get your knight b4 taken away, your knight b4 license, I don't want to get blown away. So if I just ignore it and he plays e4, it's possible black ends up in a bad position. I mean, maybe you can deal with this, like take d6, knight c3. Now that's a good square. It's possible that black is okay here, but I mean, it looks like white is just better. He has a better center. So I don't really want that to happen. Rook e1, d5. So Mr. Coffee, he saw this coming. But you play d5 a little early. You can wait. If you castle, he goes e4, you take. Gotta watch this though, actually. That's probably okay. You would just allow exchange of pieces. I think it's like a c3 Sicilian. You're okay here, but if he takes back, you gotta know, this idea of playing knight b4. And that's the idea. Anyways, so you're keeping him honest, but eventually, you're gonna run out of things to do. Mr. Coffee played d5 a little early. Anyway, that's a horrifying move. Double question mark, what is white doing? Seriously, does he have like two darks for bishop and his other one is going to go to b2 or a3 or something? This guy literally just played b3. Hello? That's the kind of move like I would pay my opponent to play. Like I'd slip him $5 under the table and be like, dude, will you play b3 for your next move? Like, what is the point of that move? To like weaken your own position? Alright, castles, knight on bd2, and now Mr. Coffee, having seen b3, I think you suddenly have a good game. It went from a normal position to, why does this guy have these weaknesses over here? The ghost bishop. Yeah, I mean, I'd be freaked out if that was like blindfold chess or something. Wait, what's his bishop on c1? I can't remember. Was this the Kali system? Mr. Coffee here released the tension. I need to see your tension releaser license. I need a Y button. Y. Clock times. White 33 minutes. Black 24. Why did you play c takes d4? Why? Why not? I don't see any reason to play c takes d4. I guess it's not terrible, but I still don't see. I don't think he's threatening anything. So I don't see what it does, you know. So you can play bishop a3. Is it that easy? He can just play bishop a3? Yeah, it's not so simple. I mean, if he plays bishop a3, he's going to be in a pin. He can defend that with rook b1. There's ways to defend it. I could get that. I get that. I get that. You have access to the dark squares. But I still don't think you should be in a rush. My instinct is like rook c8, probably. Your biggest fear here is white setting up some kind of like stonewall attack, I guess, with 95. But this is not going to help him. That melted down. He just like melted his own stonewall by like the part of the bridge there at c3 is weakened. 97 is such a chicken move, man. Oh, you mean f95? Okay, yeah, maybe solid, very solid. I mean, let's say here, 97, I agree, is possible, but let's just say if you take it, first of all, we saw a game like this recently. Wasn't it me versus Mr. Coffee? Where Mr. Coffee, one of us got in trouble. Oh man, I remember, this brings back this horrible memory. I lost with black against this guy Anatoly Volovich in like 1988 in a tournament in Toms River, New Jersey. He's probably dead by now. He's probably he'd be like 75. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's okay for black. This pawn is weak, dude. You got take sync me g4. Even that's probably not good for white. Wow, f5. It's a good thing white played b3 because that like destroyed his whole position. Man, unbelievable. Like even this move is okay because after takes you have a double attack here. If white's pawn on b2 was secure, he wouldn't really have that big an issue. All right. Anyway, I'm stalling too much. Mr. Coffee played CD. I think this exchange in general is okay as long as the opponent has gone for the fianchetto formation, which he did, even though he doesn't have a fianchetto bishop. You definitely want to wait at least until b3, though. It's a good thing you didn't play it prior to that. You know, I think this is definitely a mistake in the structure too early. You have some justification here, the mention of bishop a3. Now the guy plays the next mistake, which is really bad. Really, really bad. Does anybody want to have a guess what Asterbate would play in this position? For black? I think it might be a decent move. Move 11. Where is move 11? Yeah, I mean, e5, no. e5 is not a great move, I assume, because of knight f5. Asterbate would play knight e5 because it's important to move the same pieces over and over again. But I think in this position, it might not be bad, you know. You gain a tempo on this bishop. You avoid exchanges. I mean, it's a high risk, high reward strategy. You create imbalance, but at the same time, it's risky. Your knight is unprotected. It can get hit by f4 or something else. We also turn out the c file. We have access to the c file. Yeah, this is a okay move. I think if I were white, I would be interested in exchanges and trying to salvage my crappy position. I don't know. Maybe I would just play that. Which way are you going to take back, with the bishop or with the rook? I mean, white wants to play c4 and try to equalize. Once again, there's weaknesses on the dark squares, though. Mr. Coffee's always better now after that b3 move. b3 was a travesty. This move is also bad, though. I mean, it seems like he should play ed. Anyone who's suggesting, like, bishop a3, is there really, like... is there any follow-up to that, What is Mr. Coffee going to do? I think it's something like that. But no clear plan. Maybe here and our Breyer Roy Lopez plan starts to kick in with knight b8, or maybe some exchange of pieces. Okay, so here rook c8, knight f3. That's almost always bad. Typical club player move. Now he has like redundant knights and less protection of e4. Now Mr. Coffee played e4, knight e4. It's interesting, Uber driver. Breyer's ice cream, I thought, was a kind of mid-Atlantic New York area thing. They didn't even have that in the Boston area until recent times. We would always have it in New Jersey, but you couldn't get it in Massachusetts. And it's not a local thing. It's funny that you know that. Okay. Knight on 2 to f3. Knight e4. Major development now. Mr. Cobb, you got to think a lot. John Fedorovich told me something very important that I mentioned on stream. It sounds stupid, but it's really deep. Think a lot. Think about all you got. And I couldn't give better advice to most people, because most people don't think a lot, and they don't think about all they got. They don't even think at all. I mean, I don't even understand why most people who are playing chess aren't just playing tic-tac-toe instead. There's a lot to think about here, honestly. This is a strategically complex position. I think you don't automatically want to play knight e4. It's a very tempting move, but the radical changes in the position. First of all, he's trading off your good bishop for his bad bishop here, which I'm not that thrilled about. Earlier I talked about this exchange, but now it's a little different. That was before, when white had a normal position and a space advantage. At this point, you have a space advantage. You're actually the one with more space. So we no longer need to make freeing exchanges. Knight e4 is played, should only be played for offensive reasons. This is a tough call. You're definitely okay. But there goes our good bishop. There goes the good bishop on the dark squares. And also knight takes is an option. The game simplified a lot. A lot. I don't like that. I feel like we were better here. Somebody was talking about e5. It is hard to manage that, though. It is hard to manage exactly how we're going to do that. I feel like you missed the boat with that astrobate move. You should have played knight e5 when you could. This was a strong move, actually. It's not even clear like which way he goes with his bishop after knight e5. When you have more space, what you want to do is try to not let the other guy trade pieces. When you have more space, when you have less space, you want to try to exchange pieces. Alyakin did that on the white side. This type of move, like on the white side of the Queen's Gambit against Capablanca, where he went out of his way to avoid exchanges. White wants exchanges here because he has less pieces. This seems to basically give white those exchanges. This again, it looks passive, but maybe we should consider it. Maybe we should consider it. I don't know. You're on this. Now your bishop is a full-grown woman. I mean, I love these bad bishops that sort of they exist with the X-ray through your own material. The most famous example I've ever seen was in Reshevsky's Art of Positional Play. It was Larry Evans versus Reshevsky, 1950 something, where he destroyed Evans, where he had a bishop on b7 and a Tartakover, and black just took on d5, took on e4, and then suddenly there were black pieces coming in, and the bishop on b7 was suddenly growing on the diagonal. This might actually be a good move. Because what does he do? Does he take here? He's dropping material. c3 is hanging, and his knight is hanging now. What's he going to do? Maybe he's got some miraculous way out. You also have this, which could be an annoying move at some point. I think so, Uber driver. So this looks like, a passive move, but it has a lot of points going for it. Maybe he plays c4 in the game. But it's a different story now. Mainly, your bishop is protecting your knight. Maybe he's still okay, but you're crawling all over him with these pieces. Look at these knights coming in here. White's lucky if there's nothing for black. Maybe it wasn't in the 50s. I don't know. It might have been later. My concern here is that white might have equalized with c4. But the computer gives Mr. Coffee exclamation point for knight b4. What about takes? Take, redundancy. Take, always take. Take everything. He's dropping the pawn now. Yeah, I don't know, maybe Mr. Coffee didn't let it slip. What if he takes here first? This massive pressure against the c3 pawn. And maybe Coffee had it under control. Bishop takes e4. That move. D takes e4. And then just move the knight back. That looks ugly, doesn't it? Oof. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, we got something. Here. Nice job. Knight b4. That is a strong move. And you might have e5 now. I guess I anticipated bishop f1. He played this. And now that's bad. That's a big problem. That's really bad. Mr. Coffee just not even going into d3. Keep the options open. You have e5, f5, knight d3, rook f d8. Although the material is equal to black, you even have this. This is just devastating. The space advantage gives you rook c5 and swing over. It's amazing how fast white transitioned to a lost position. He's just lost now. But it's a good question what you should do here. I don't know. You know, I think swing the knight in. Where does he go? Like f1? Rook c5? Maybe it's too fancy. Maybe you're better off playing with the pawns. I like how knight d3 gets an exclamation point. That's really... I don't know how he saw it. Alright, rook e2 and then e5. How did you find knight d3, Mr. Coffee? I don't know how you saw that. I mean, that was pretty deep. And then Asterbay would found this one. a5. Yeah, a little sarcasm. It was pretty hard to miss that knight d3 square. a5, knight e1. Only chance. You know, and here, this is similar to Reshevsky Evans, actually. Except that involved like an exchange sacrifice, or Evans Reshevsky. It was the same theme though, like when something takes here, then the diagonal opens up for the bishop on b7. Mr. Coffee has all kinds of vicious threats, the rook. Look at the space advantage black has here, it's like crushing. Coordination, space. This is probably the wrong rook. Your rook is on f-file, man. If anything, like go rook cd8, I think. But I'm certain that you have something more brutal. He can't play f4 though. I was actually thinking of maybe pulling your knight back. That's kind of crazy though. You can't do that. Let's just do a rook lift. The question is like which one? I guess rook f6. I mean, this you could just swing over here. Just lift rook f6 is standard, like, right, Dutch attacking plan. Alright, let's guess what the best move is. Funny thing is, earlier in the game, Reshevsky offered a draw. Wow, really? He was black in a Tartakover. Mr. Coffee played the engine's #1 move. No, it changed his mind. It was looking at rook c6. Why doesn't it like my rook f6? It's only plus 2.7. Rook cd8 is better than rook fd8. This is a winning position. Almost have knight f4. Oh. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money to play that move. Mr. Coffee. How much did he bribe you to make that move? It's not like White's threatening to take on d3 or something. Mama says f4. Of course f4. Ugh, this position is a thing of beauty. Yeah. Mama also says something about it's never too late to do a rook lift. You might want to throw in a rook lift. That is a really bad move, Mr. Coffee. You just don't have the killer instinct. You went from like crushingly winning position to clearly better. Here, 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 here. There's the rook lift. Here, and then here, and then here. Good Lord, man. Mr. Coffee was in time pressure. But like White almost can't ever take on d3 because he immediately gets mated on the long diagonal. I think you have to look at positions kind of holistically. There's pretty much like nothing that can possibly go wrong here. Other than him queening his queenside majority, I guess he could like just start pushing those, but you'll be able to blockade them. So if you want my honest opinion, you should just make Luft. When he takes on d3 twice, He'll be threatening some checks or something. Honestly, I think like h5. Because it gives you h4, it gives your king a square on h7. He can never take here because he's like gonna be like violently destroyed, presumably. But this is the point. Like when there's a check, you go up to h7. And there's no way in a million years like white isn't getting checkmated here. I mean, I guess it could happen, but it's unlikely. I mean, you have too many threats on the diagonal with the queen and the bishop. So, I don't know, h5. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah. h5, h5, queen d8. Queen d8 is definitely a weird move, undeveloping your queen. Yeah, and now h5 is the move, I think. This is a safe move, you can do that, but, you know, why did you move rook g6 in the first place? First idea was that I was going to just play h6, honestly, and then I thought, nah, we'll play h5. So Mr. Coffee just, like, was nice to his opponent. He played rook takes d2, knight takes d2, not even a good move. He could have had the file, but he didn't want it. At this point, you have 1 minute left, got into technically losing rook and pawn ending, however, white was playing for the flag. Eventually, yes! Eventually dropped into a pawn ending that was won by black. And with 1 second left on the clock, Mr. Coffee, 0-1. Alright, man. Yeah, you tried your best not to win, but your opponent spoiled the day. Alright, good game. Sort of. Next. No stream today. Where are we? Puzzles, learn, study. Mr. Coffee took me off the study. Guys, thanks for the resub from Cooking Rooks. Oh, Bill just gifted tier 3. That's an old one. Sorry. I'm just stuttering. Mr. Coffee just donated 1,000 bits. That's what I meant to say. Alright, Mr. Coffee just donated 1,000 bits. Thank you. My studies I contribute to. I love those green gems. I love those green gems. 1,000 bits from Mr. Coffee. We love ourselves some green gems. Good game, man. A lot to improve there, though. But there's a lot of positive takeaway too. The bad, the good, and the ugly. Karachika. Our next submission is from Karachika. It's from Morales. I think it's like a 1 or 2 minute game. You cause a lot of trouble around here, Mr. Coffee. Good thing you donate a lot. Otherwise I'd never have you. This is Morales with a high rating, 1878. I don't know how many games we've played now. I hope we're not up to 500 and past it without me realizing. Don't let me like make a big deal about it. I mean, don't not let me make a big deal about it. I don't know how I'm trying to say that, but make sure I make a big deal about it when Morales gets 500 games. Anyway, he's in Australia and he submitted this two-minute game because he doesn't have much time to play. So we're not going to take this too seriously. But Morales is an old viewer and one of our first regular viewers, and he's very committed and useful and supportive and a VIP. So A6. This is a good way to play against Morales because he likes to play bishop b5. So he reverts to a kind of closed Sicilian with g3, b5. Now I've talked about these type of positions before. White doesn't have to play d4 here. He decided to transfer to an open Sicilian. I mean, I think it really depends on your style, but my problem with black setup is like if you play d3 or something, like black has to be active. If he plays a hedgehog, he has no plan. I have done some crazy stuff. I had one game with black where I basically did something like maybe castles, knight f6, I don't know, rook e1, and I did like h5 or something against this Hungarian guy. I drew, I don't remember. I think he's like a decent player. Like maybe around 2,300 FIDE, but this is coffee house, coffee. You know, the problem is black doesn't have a plan. Like white's plan is to play f4, f5, and black doesn't really have a plan. I guess rook e1 is not a good move there, though. Best move for white would be something like, yeah, knight g5. Something that incorporates the idea of playing f4, f5. Maybe black should play b4 the first chance he gets. Ah. The first chance he gets. That would be now. It was played twice. Yeah, so typically Uber driver, that leads to complicated situations. B4 immediately. Horvath Tomi played it in 2007. He's the Dorian's co-author in the very enduring classic Sveshnikov Sicilian or whatever. Knight a4. And bishop b7. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes white sacrifices this. That's a big theme. b4 is not necessarily always good. I think it's tricky. Yeah, I like the d5. I think that's my point. So if white doesn't do d3, yeah, black's got to play some kind of setup that involves playing d5. Exactly. So how do we do this best? Probably knight. Well, let's see if I have this position against Morales first of all. Black. Yes. Ah, there we go. Morales Sparkle Horse 2020 March. I played bishop e7 and lost. Bishop e7 not a particularly logical move. I think I was probably going to do some coffee house plan with h5, h4. I don't know why I particularly played that move. I don't think I like that move particularly. So I think d5 immediately looks like an idea. The problem there is you get a structural change, and then Akiba Rubinstein is suddenly playing the white pieces. We don't want that to happen. That's not good. So I guess if black wants to play d5, how does he do it here? Knight f6. Kind of wanted my knight to go to h6 later, like h5. Bishop e7 does have a good score. It's been played in 24 games. I was trying to stay away from d6 though. If you just go here, castles. Yeah, nobody plays d5 in this position. How can we play d5? I guess you have to play knight f6 then. And on castles, you can do it now. You're going to have to go, that's what it is. You have to go back to g8, Uber driver. You're going to have to go back to g8. That's all there is to it. Here. And if white plays e5, you can play knight fd7, but you can also play knight g8. Kosic, Rosic, Riju. No known quantities here. Anybody? Can I get me a knight g8? Computer likes white. It's just better for white. So you gotta go here. But I still think white is maybe a little better. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice to find a way to play d5 for black. Oh, maybe you're right, like b4 and then d5? Okay, I get what you're saying. Uber driver's saying like we could drive the knight away from the center and then play d5. So, like here, knight e2, and subsequently d5. M Formanic? Wow, there's a new Formanic. Like an original Slovakian version. It's a player I have a bad score against. Half out of 3 or 4. Yeah, this makes sense. It makes some sense. Yeah, you got something there. That's interesting. Maybe b4, knight e2. I got no games. Wait. Whoa. That was weird. Did you see that? I have a game here? What? Alright, anyway, we're going to go back to the game. I'm too far afield, so... Morales played d3 against me. He played d4 against this player in Blitz. We basically play an open Sicilian. Queen takes d4 has been played. But this is a transposition to a Sicilian con variation, you know, fianchetto. I wouldn't be surprised, but I probably don't have games with white. I don't normally put the knight on c3. I have 3 games against Morales in this position. Wow. No, 2. And another one. Nothing with white. So I've played it twice with black already. A draw and a loss. So I always played knight f6 in both games, but his opponent played d6, castles. I have a game with someone else here. That's funny. White has a very good score in this position. Well, I mean, white's kingside and black's kingside is nowhere near developed, and I think this is a serious problem. Normally, like, white plays in the center on the king side in the Sicilian, but I mean in open Sicilians. But here, a4 and the idea of knight a2 to hit the pawn on b4 and open the position with like c3 happens sometimes. This is obviously like kind of a dubious move. I would think like if you're playing Hans, you're definitely dead. I just don't foresee how black has time for that. I mean, I get it. Like, if you play knight f6, you've got to watch out for tactics. It's really only dangerous to certain positions, though. For example, like bishop e7, rook e1, knight f6, kablam, you know? This is how you lose in, like, a few moves. Because it's like take, take, take. Black has to play queen c7 to defend. He's playing queen c7 to defend the bishop there. But I think the queen is vulnerable, and it's not a priority to develop the queen. Yeah, a4, oh my god. Do you know the statistics here are unbelievable? Holy shit. The first thing that's unbelievable is how many games have reached this position. The second thing that's unbelievable is how bad black's score is, considering the number of players who have been willing to play this for black. My god. White's winning percentage is like 70%. I've never seen anything like that in a in a kind of standard open Sicilian position. That's insane. White's winning percentage overall is like 100 games, 66%. That's just insane. And he's only lost 13. The 66-13 ratio of decisive games. Something's not okay about Black's position. So A4. Yeah, I mean A4 naturally. But we don't get to do Uber Driver's fun knight d5 there. Notice that Black takes. You can play b4, but now... Oh, you do knight d5 anyway. Wow, I was expecting knight a2. You do knight d5 anyway. Smear and Gelfand, 1987. They were in Belarusia. No. 87, I don't know. They were probably in Belarusia in 87. That's a strong generation. White's score 83%. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn check. Yeah, man. I got destroyed like this once in Kiri's attack by this Mexican guy, Florentino Garmendez. It's like my first... It's my oldest game, and one of my oldest games, maybe my oldest game in the chess-based database. It's like 1988 or something like that. He just absolutely wrecked me with a knight d5 sack. Black is splattered in this position. Gelfand was very young back then in 87. He was already very strong though. I remember studying Gelfand game already at that time. Maybe 88. So Morales played bishop f4. That's cute. I think Morales has actually been working with Hans. There's like 0% chance his opponent is not playing e5. So what's the idea? Yeah. It's a 2-minute game. We're sacking a piece. For a second I thought he has like bishop takes e5, pawn takes e5, d6. This looks like something I would do when I was like just messing around. But he saves the piece. And that's saving him there. So White just has a big space advantage. This piece, look at that. A thing of beauty. What's the maximum number of squares a bishop can control? It's bishop on central square. It's got quite a few. Knight d7. Nice. You like want to play f4, but it would compromise your king side. I'm not sure about bishop e4. What do we do? How do we make progress now? Feels like we need another way to open lines. So you played c4. This is way too like telegraphing, by the way. I don't know, he never played a4. This is like too obvious. Obvious and strong. Maybe Black could have played a5, you know. I think he probably could have played a5. Whoops. And this looks like one of Astorbate's games now after knight d3. Just lost a piece. 99% of Astorbate's games decided by his opponent just like dropping pieces. Oof. Alright. That was kind of anticlimactic. I was really not sure how that was going to end. Speaking of Astorbate's up next. Alright. That is a problematic variation. I don't think that a6 is a great anti-Sicilian, closed Sicilian line. Janusz. Wow. Karadzica played this with white, but he's actually a guy who likes to play the Scandinavian. I think I saw that. What's the idea? No, Sumaher, we didn't get to your game yet. You're too late. You submit the games too late. C takes d4, queen takes d4. Acerbate is up, and you're next. So the idea is the threat is stronger than the execution. Uber driver, I might have to send you to some kind of like counseling center if you don't stop with that d takes c5 stuff. So the threat is stronger than execution. If you play knight c6, what's white do? Karadzica is definitely playing queen d2, right? White hopes that he can contain d5 and play like b3, bishop b2, and make his whole setup like make sense. But my gut instinct is that black maybe has something here. Something sharp. You know, it's got to be e6 and d5. I think like white could get busted by a very sharp response. So let's see. Drazic, no. Karadzica versus Fernandez Garcia, I don't know him. e6, yes. Wow, he played e3. That is not what I expected. I thought white was going to try to like go, you know, balls to the wall and try to stop him. Black played bishop b4 here, but I wonder if d5 isn't something, you know. Bishop b4 is obvious, but I wonder if black doesn't have an even better move. Damn. I was thinking we go totally postal with d5. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You do have this, though. This is cool. Knight takes e4. See, Karadzica knew that. Like, he's like, nope, not going to get that, man. I'm just going to play e3. You can't take my pawn on e3. Takes d5, c takes d5, c takes d5, knight c3, d4, and then you have bishop b4 no matter what. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but this guy is a good player. He plays e3. He just lets black equalize. But what's the point? What is the point? Yeah, black is better than equal. d5. Knight f3. Wow, bishop e7 is the best move according to the engine. I think Sumaher would like this position. He could transpose the Nimzo a tempo down with like queen c2. My god, that's what happened. Sumaher, Bijak, you got your favorite type of position. A tempo down. Karadzica said he transposed to a tempo down Nimzo with white, and he's still equal. That's funny, or close to equal anyway, equal enough. All right, Acerbate though doesn't play knight c6. He plays g6, transposing to the oh my god, the Marazzi. Don't do that again, Acerbate. If this position arises again, promise me you'll play knight c6. You gotta do knight c6. I mean, you know, if you're really weird, you could do like knight a6 or something. If you want to be really weird. It's not the best move though. Yeah, you gotta go straight up. Alright. So g6 is the Marazzi. God, Acerbate playing the Marazzi. He doesn't know how to play the Marazzi because people don't play the Marazzi against him. How many people under 1800 know how to play the white side in Marazzi? Seriously. Do you know how bad players below master level are with like space advantage positions? How the hell are players Astrobase rating gonna teach him? How is he gonna learn how to play the black side in Marazzi playing like 1600s? White could have gone bishop g5. Sure, Uber driver, he can play bishop g5, but it's nothing special. That's not better than the Marazzi, you know. You can play g3 and transpose to a fianchetto. I've played this against Astrobate. Mainline fianchetto English, which is probably the most mainline English of the fianchetto variety. Again, poor Astrobate doesn't have, he doesn't have enough people to give him practice in this. Well, there's a lot of ways the Marazzi begins, but I mean, the point is that it's these two pawns against the accelerated dragon. You actually messed up the move order, it looks like. Or no. Because if e5, you have knight c6. e5, knight c6. Queen e3, knight g4. You gotta make sure there's no tricks here. 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 It's like the time I lost to, it's like the time I lost against, what's his face? Akopian. Where my knight got trapped on e5, but it's not the same because black has knight d4. Knight d4 and then bounce back here. Yeah, it doesn't trap a piece. This is winning for black. He can play... It looks like he loses the pawn by force, actually. All variations. Okay. Be careful. The guy did it. This is what happened. Oh my god. Marazzi Pro. Knight h5. If you're out there and you're listening and your rating is under 1800, don't play the Marazzi with white. Seriously, it's just... Space advantage is hard to play. It's hard to learn to play. You need a lot of experience. Good job, Astrobate. Kablam. Thank you. It's nice knowing your center. Nice job. Now he got carried away, though. Black should just play bishop g7. If this was like one of those home video or reality TV shows, I would say, like, do not try this at home. Like, at least you didn't play bishop takes c3, Astrobate, but seriously, you need this bishop to defend your king side. You played g6 and your dark squares are weak. You have to come back to g7. Don't listen to Uber driver. And if you have to play bishop takes c3, after he takes with the queen, promise me you'll like trade queens with queen a5, okay? If you have to give up your dark squared bishop and have these weaknesses around your king side, at least promise me you'll trade the queens off by force, so you don't get checkmated, like, immediately. Yeah, you trade bishops, but it doesn't make the weakness on your king side go away. That's the problem. Trading for the knight is worse, but this is still not good. You still have weaknesses on dark squares on your king side, and they're not going to magically go away, and maybe white doesn't have enough compensation, but he has a little. He has something. It's better to play bishop g7, in which case, like, white has nothing. Like, he has, like, Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing, like that kind of nothing. Like, absolutely nothing for white. Nothing after bishop g7. After this, you're rolling the dice, because there will be weaknesses in your king side. Now, I'm not sure queen e4 is the best move. Maybe queen d3 is a better square. I see dark square. Squares talk to me. Squares talk to me, man. Talk to me. Queen e3, queen h6, h4, h5, knight g5. He can get all over you very quickly here. Bishop e2. Oh my god, man. He played f5. Maybe, proactive is better than nothing. Oh no, Nefedov. It's not too late. Send me the game. Where's move 11? Move 11's not going to come in and be like, we got a late submission for you. Look, I don't generally recommend f5 in this kind of position. I think you should just make normal moves. D6 probably. One thing I do like to do, if it's possible, would be to get my queen to be like a bishop substitute. Did you guys see the funny story in the news yesterday? There's this company that sells basically artificial meat. What is it Anyway, some kind of company that sells meat substitute. And the CEO of the company that sells this artificial meats got into a fight and bit somebody's nose. He got arrested for biting another guy's nose. I was like, dude, he works for a company that makes fake meat, and he's going around cannibalizing people. Are you serious? Really? It's just ridiculous. He just doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough meat in his diet. Alright. Bishop e2, f5. Very weakening move, Astrobate. Very weakening move. Now, horrible move by white. What did we talk about? Dark squares, right? These are the dark squares where Astrobate doesn't have a bishop. So what does the guy do? No, he doesn't put his queen on d6. He doesn't put his queen on d2, where he has the aim, to come down to h6 and do some damage. What does he do? He puts his queen on d1, of course, which has little or no relation to the dark squares whatsoever. Yeah. If he plays queen d2, I think white has absolutely... Honestly, white might even be better here. He's down a pawn, but your position is so bad in terms of weaknesses that it's very possible that white is just better. Not even a question of having compensation of the pawn. It's like a good Smith gambit, I like to call it, for white. I was thinking that company, they could hire Mike Tyson as a spokesperson and create this new product, human ear and nose substitutes, to feed the people that have cannibal cravings. You can now eat vegetable substitute human ears and noses. Alright, you know how dogs, they have pig ears and pig snouts for dogs? You could create a artificial meat substitute that are shaped like human ones. Hand them out for Halloween. That would be awesome. How awesome would that be? As a Halloween novelty, artificial meat, noses, and ears. Dude, I'm a millionaire. I just became a millionaire. That's so sick, man. Is it too gruesome? I'm serious. I'm a millionaire. For Halloween novelties, grill up some human noses and ears with the fake meat substitute. That's awesome, man. Why didn't they think of that already? You could make them with real meat. Man, why don't they have that? People probably do that already. It just never really caught on at Halloween parties. Alright. Anyway. Queen d1, bad move. Queen b6. Aspirate, your position is fundamentally flawed. You have a problem. The first step is admitting you have a problem. Right? It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. Admit your problem here. What's my problem? Pretend this is AA. You know, tell us all what your problem is. Your problem is this guy is just destroying you on an open file. Basically. I think we need to do something about that. Maybe like try to patch it up. Queen e7. Get a little control of d6. You know, try to fight back. And if nothing else, I guess I would play b6, try to at least get my bishop out on the diagonal. But here now what is that? What is that? On c8. That's the worst pawn. It's part of his pawn chain. Look. This is awesome. It's his pawn chain. Check out this pawn chain. Have you ever seen anything? Zigzag. Brought to you by Zigzag Rolling Papers. The ultimate pawn chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't know you could have a pawn on the back rank. That's pretty cool. Back rank pawn. You actually blocked your own bishop from being able to get out on b7. We talked about this earlier. Queen c7 here doesn't look good. But queen e7, you know, with the plan of like b6, getting the bishop out. Alright, anyway. Terrible move, terrible move, terrible. Okay, queen a5 check. And then knight d2, knight d4. Because we don't want to develop any pieces, naturally. Alright. Castle, and he dropped a piece. What did I say earlier in the stream? Almost all of Astrobate games. I don't know what's. I'm all choked up over that joke, but I got this lingering cough from the cold I had, although I was really on the verge of thinking I was better. Astrobate, why are you not taking this free piece? Dude, that is a free piece. I guess the truth is it didn't matter. No, he has bishop f3, man. I mean, you gave him a second chance to save himself. This was bad. Really bad. What? This is a mouse slip. I mean, you're winning like all of his pieces, right? You're up a full rook here after queen takes a4. Yeah, this is really bad. And you just wanted to play for the cheap mate. After all that, the guy defended against the cheapo, and then he just took the knight. Alright, we're going to get to Nefyadov's game, right? We got Sumaher and Nefyadov. Did Nefyadov submit his game? Hans Niemann, eat your heart out. Wow. So now we get the point. Astrobate sacrifices queen for a rook. Holy shit, what made you submit this game? Knight takes e5, a takes b6, so we've got 1, 2. We've got a pawn, a rook, and a bishop. Material equivalency. Pawn, you just did it for a challenge, right? You were like handicapping yourself. Queen b3. Immediately the guy dropped a rook. It's unbelievable. You're ironic. He's ironic. He drops a rook right out of the gate with knight e2 check. Right out of the gate. It's still a little bit weird. Knight f6 check. And I'm thinking white's lost anyway. He's starting 95. Oh no. That's not going to save him. Wow. Yeah, there's no immediate forced win. He has queen e5 check. That is a weird position. So I don't know what to play. Bishop c8 works? He has queen e5 check. I'm not sure. There was no immediate forced win. He covered e5 and then played bishop c4, which was a nice little mini tactic. And I guess white doesn't have a defense. That's a lot of pieces, bro. The f4, this was the whole plan. Bishop c4 originally didn't work because he had queen e5 check. Asterbate played knight d3, covered the e5 square, then bishop c4 worked. This is why you played f5. Now I understand. You should be like that Polish grandmaster who did the first game we analyzed. Just let his a-pawn go. You're probably crushing him here. It's really much more elegant. Finish him off with f3. You did this kind of primitively. Now the corner mate. Dude, you got a lock on him with knight g3. He can't get out of that. You didn't lock the door. Now he has g3. Like you were trying to like play with your food. g3 and now you have f3. Asterbate, the mate, the net. He missed so many mates here. The old Asterbate wouldn't have missed that. And then get in the corner. Alright, that was rough. That wasn't clean. Sumaher is up next. I got my last 2 games. No more games. I don't know why. My cold is just, it's unstoppable. Alright. Why do we have only 11 viewers? My stream size always like dwindles on these subscriber streams. People leave after their game is done. Nefedov. Old Stafford. All right, never mind. We'll finish that after I finish the other one. I don't know. I was fine when I started. Now I'm like coughing and it's crazy. I just thought I was cured. I don't know, why am I coughing? It's the weirdest thing. I've had this cold for almost 2 weeks. It's crazy. So, last 2 games, Sumaher and Nefedov. No more submissions, even if you pay me. Asterbate just gifted tier 1 sub to Emma the Dilemma. Asterbate with 334 gift subs. Alright. Sumaher and... Thank you, Asterbate. London system. Oh god. Yeah, I hate it. I like playing like e5 to like troll people. Like an unsound gambit. But you know, there's so many different ways to play against this. I don't know where to start. But I've never seen anyone play g6 directly. I mean, I can't imagine there's anything wrong with g6. What could possibly be wrong with that move? You know what I would expect that here there's 17 games where no one played knight c3. You would think like g6 would be a kind of situation where knight c3 is reasonable. They would probably like transfer to the Yubava type of stuff. What would you do? Like c6? Play it like a Carol Khan. Objectively, the question is knight b5 a threat? You know, I've had games along these lines. This is not a problem. All right. Whatever. Your opponent played the exciting e3, and now bishop g7. So, you know, I mean, theoretically, maybe white should think about transposing to a Grunfeld with c4. But theoretically, it might be a mistake. Interesting question. If c4, does black have c5? That was played in one game. Symmetrical c4, c5. What's the engine think of this, I wonder? Better for black. Nice. So, that's interesting. You know, there's an advantage in this bishop g7 over knight f6. You have immediate threats on the diagonal. Whereas, like, with knight f6, c5 wouldn't be so dangerous. With bishop g7, it has more sting. If you play c4, yeah, this is a nice move. This steals the initiative. Bishop f4, relatively irrelevant there. Relatively irrelevant. e3, bishop g7, knight f3. And now you just transpose back into normal territory. But I think you should break as early and often as you can. It might be too much. You know, c5 is possible. I don't know. You can only be so creative with the black pieces. Knight f6 goes back to main line. I think generally speaking, white can put the bishop on either square. I don't understand why I'm coughing. It's the weirdest thing. I was fine. You know, it's weird. Bishop on e2 is less active, but on d3 it's like biting on granite. There's also the possibility of black trading off his bad bishop with bishop f5 at some point. So, you know, objectively, like, white's best move might be c4. Probably. Literally transposing to a Grunfeld. After castle, knight c3, we have a real literal Grunfeld bishop f4 variation. That's probably white's best move. Bishop d3, bishop f5. So you did that. Random move. Yeah, I mean, but it's justified. This is not crazy, you know. Castle. You trade it. Not in love with that. But, yeah. If you're going to castle kingside, maybe you don't want the g-pawn on f5. Takes. He can also play like Karl Schlechter and take with the c. I think this is a bit more interesting than queen takes. I assume this was a very fast level, you know, time control. Yeah, I mean, I think you make a mistake there, maybe. But I don't know. There's nothing wrong with castling. I'm not really afraid of this. Bishop takes f5, g takes f. What's he going to do? It's not like he's going to play g4 with his king cons. You know, by the way, this is extremely, extremely dangerous for black if he's not castled. I've made this point before in these types of positions. There's a huge difference. If he's not kingside castled, he can do like h3, sometimes even g4 unprovoked, or even like without playing h3. Yeah. But it's important to calculate that, you know, that he's castled when you allow g takes f. It feels like white is a tiny bit better now. Yeah, I mean, c5 is the bad move, probably. why, why? It's not that bad, but I would keep the tension. Now you need to bust him with e5. Bust a move, bro. So I think like 99% of grandmasters here recommend Oral B. Man, you almost got him with the tactics. Knight h5 is very close. He does have this annoying bishop g5. You're so close to playing e5 here. But it's pretty weird. I don't really like bishop g5. You can also consider knight e4. Basically you're hoping for this type of stuff. You're trying to play a5, b5, knight takes c5. I don't know. I want to see what the engine says. a5 first, b5, knight e4. It's got a crazy move, g4, g5 rather. So like a5, b5, knight e4, knight bd2, and then like g5. Bent Larson style. This is crazy. I mean, I don't know if I would do that, but there's a lot of interesting ideas. So he played b4 and you played knight h5, and he has to play bishop g5. It's not even a question. Or if he doesn't play that, like he has to do anything but what he did. You're getting an e5, I mean, this is probably a better move than what he did. Give you the bishop fine. No big deal, As long as he doesn't let you like bust out with e5. But now you have e5. This is a very important move. Only black can be better now. White is in trouble, no? Seriously. I think he's in trouble after e5. You gotta bust that bank-robbing bishop into the game with e5. He's in serious trouble. What's he gonna do? The engine has him at minus 0.3, like surviving by a thread. That's a very important move, man. You hesitated here with c6. He who hesitates is lost. Confucius. I don't know if Confucius said that, but it sounds like something he would have said. Kind of a classic. Just don't hesitate next time. Now it's crazy, man. I mean, e5 is like very strong. You're just better. You can't wait. This is unnecessary. Over preparing the e5 break. Everybody in the room knew you were going to play e5, except for you. And there comes the f5. Now you wish you had your other rook on f8. Oh my god. White panics. f4? He doesn't know about the en passant rule. That's going around. I don't think Hans knows about the en passant rule. It's just that his engine does. Rook takes f3, bishop h6. Do you have a shredder? Like the shredder tactic? Rook takes. Hello? I am Master Shredder. Rook takes, bishop takes d4. Now what does he do? This is hanging, so he has to play this. Then you're like, slice. I take another pawn. Oh my god. Black is better. No, it's 0.0. No, 0.6. Is that sick or what? That's a great variation. You gotta play that, man. Come on. You took. He took. This is fancy. Rook tc3 is not best. But it sure is fun. So, bishop h6. Rook e1. You just played positional. Positional chess. Yes. And it's over. Hard to break through, though. I like queen g7, like your technique there. You were very consistent. Uh-oh, there goes the pawn chain. He found king f3, double exclamation point. No, he should have taken your pawn. Unbelievable you don't have like a crushing sacrifice here. Mate in 2. Alright. That was an interesting game. So we're finally going to the Nefedov. Latest of the board game to analyze. Against Merchia A team. Ignore the result. Glitch in lichess. For a change, I won the game. Alright, Nefedov, thank you for submitting a game. Ignore the result. It's a glitch. I know Nefedov loves draws, though. We know he loves draws. Alright, d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6. Oh, goody, another London system. Thanks to all of you guys for submitting your London system games, because that's my favorite. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed these London system analysis stream. Man, we needed another bishop f4. Colonoscopy guy, what's up? Alright. Wow, so Nefedov busts the modern c6. He's just playing the Slav. Nothing fancy about this. You know what Vita Levente did when he saw me play a6? He was like, oh, no, a6, come on. He was like, oh, that can't be. Yeah, I mean, that's what you get if you play a6. Very dogmatic. You know, he's a great player, but Levente is, yeah, he's classically trained a little bit. Maybe viewing things dogmatically. I also think that e6 might actually be good. You know, it's funny. It took a long time to come to this conclusion. I had this like blitz match with a guy who's like an expert in the Jabava system. It was unpleasant. You know, I don't like playing like French passive setups. This move actually, you know, it might really be like Black's best move. No, I mean, a6 is definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. You know, another interesting line, g6. Everybody, like, I've had games, I guess, what, here, bishop g7, knight b5. Yeah, that's not what I meant. I was thinking of something else. Okay, g6 is actually a standard move. If you look at my mix here, let's see. What have I played in this position? This should be really interesting. So here's my breakdown. 42 games with c5. I've got 8 games with g6, 6 games with c6, undefeated, and 4 games with a6. So most of my efforts were we're playing the, you know, the direct c5, trying to be white in the Chigorin. I don't know. You know, Slav, I don't really do the Slav. That's why c6 is weird for me. g6 I've played. And a6 I experimented with. I lost against Sasha Gelman. There was a good game against Casabianca. But the thing was, like, when I prepared for Sasha Gelman, I thought he would play, like, e3, but, let's see, or I thought he would play something else, but he just played e3. e3, e6, right? Oh, this was another game. Anyway, I've tried everything. Nefedov plays c6. Okay, c6 is solid. Yeah, what was I thinking the other day? Nefedov move order. Knight c3. You know what's a funny move here? What, e5? No one's played that? Why not? You know, take it to him, man. Take it to him. If you can play the Albin, you can play this, right? D takes e5, d4, knight b5. I'm not sure it's worse than the Albin, but I guess it's not. It's just kind of funny. Oh, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about doing like c6 here. This is totally unsound. Alright, whatever. It's just experimenting. Yeah. Okay, anyway, Nefedov, c6, e3. Yeah, I don't do bishop f5. We don't do bishop f5 around here, but I have millions of games with g6. So I would do g6 now. I could see maybe knight on bd7, trying to do like a delayed. But I like this b5 idea. It's creative. Probably not correct. G6. I have a million games now. If we search, only 15. I thought I had a million. It says 4 games from this position. Wow. All right, let's go back. So, Nefedov plays standard. Standard. Another interesting move, like bishop g4, right? But not here. Not with c6. Bishop f5. Wow. Dreyev played h6. He lost this guy Botvinnik. That's just gross. That is gross. Alright. Yeah, I mean, I don't really love h6, man. I don't see why it's important. Like, what's he gonna do? Knight h4? Since when do we care about that? You know, let him play knight h4. h6 feels like a waste of time. It also gives us no bishop g6 anymore. I don't like taking on d3. That's what happens. How did Dreyev... Botvinnik didn't play bishop d3, he played knight e5. That's interesting. He can hit you with g4. This might be another reason not to play h6, honestly. There's also another option. Knight bd7. And Dreyev has another game here. What are the chances? What are the chances? And that was played first. He unimproved on his own play. Bishop d3. e6. He didn't do it. He played bishop takes e3. Gross. Atabayev. Yeah, that was a guy happy with the draw with white. It's interesting, though, that f3 is white's main move in this position. Now, I don't like bishop f5, but Nefedov, that's fine. If you like it, good for you. It looks like f3, he's going to do jababa, you know, to your bishop. h5. Jubana versus Stefanova. Jubana has a strong trainer. Yeah, I mean, maybe h5 is worth considering. I don't know if Nefedov would buy that. Why would you argue with Alexei? I wouldn't argue with him. But it's interesting that he played knight of bd7 first time, and then he played h6 the other game. But the second game was against a much stronger player. The first game he's playing like a random 2470, like Uzbek guy, and the second game he's playing like Onishuk B. It was like 2650, 2620. It's kind of, I don't know. This is an interesting position though. It's like the Caro-Kann. Have you thought about playing the Caro-Kann? Most Slav players play the Caro-Kann. It would suit your style, I guess. H5 though is probably better than H5 is better than H6. That's interesting to know. Caro-Kann very popular. Another interesting move, bishop g6 unprovoked. Good play. So, anyways, he plays knight f3, h6 here. What did Botvinnik do? He played knight e5, right? Okay. So now you take. I mean, theoretically, you could play e6, but that would defeat the purpose of. Well, I don't even think there is a purpose for h6, honestly. What is the purpose of h6 if he's going to play bishop d3? Alright, you take. Yeah, it's better than e6. So you can do the Schlechter. I mean, I think that maybe white should play cd here. Because at least he has a plan. I mean, if he does cd, he can create some kind of... try to create something, you know, there. And Lawrence Drabke. Wow. Whew. Sends shivers down my spine when you played knight h5. Lawrence Maximilian played e6 here. Okay, that's totally normal move. e6 or knight of bd7, right? But Nefedov busted the knight h5. Let's try to keep an open mind about this. I mean, I don't know. White has so many options. I don't know where to start. Bishop e5, bishop g3, castle's queenside. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if somebody played g4 against you. How bad is g4, seriously? Takes. I'm a little scared, honestly. Gotta be very, very careful with black's position. I wish we hadn't played h6. Move 11 votes for bishop e5. That makes the knight on h5 an unhappy camper. Seriously, what is white's best move according to the engine? Wow, g4 was up there for a minute. And bishop takes b8, we didn't even mention that. Wow. I don't know, Neffy. I don't know. I mean, knight h5 to me looks really not the safest move, but it's playable. Alright, wow. I mean, you're very lucky your opponent like played a kind of passive response. I mean, there's a lot of dangerous moves he could try here. Castles is not something I was too concerned about. I mean, castle's queenside. Something involving castle's queenside or g4 could be very scary. You know, now you don't have to do anything. I'm not sure if you should take it or not, you know, honestly. You have no pieces developed, and you're opening the E file. That is very scary to me. Look, Mom, no pieces. The problem is anytime you try to play e6, he's going to just crack you open with f5. I think otherwise your position would be okay. And the same thing with like g6, he plays f5. So I'm having trouble, like, what do we do? Maybe we're better off playing g6, and then if f5, we play like g5? Seriously? It looks terrible. I think black is in a lot of trouble here. The computer doesn't seem to evaluate it very bad, but dude, you better get out of there, like, now. I'm thinking about castling queenside. This looks bad for black. f5, there you go. Can you take that? No. Man. I mean, I feel like you're in big trouble here. Amazingly, you're not. Unbelievable. Nefedov can take on f5, check, play bishop e7, and then just escape just in time into this like Petrov exchange branch hell. It's unbelievable that you're okay there. I mean, I thought you were dead. It looks like you should be dead. It's amazing. This is totally extremely scary. You also were afraid to open the e-file, so you played queen f6, which apparently is a blunder. But to be honest with you, I would be concerned too. But I think at this point you have to already have everything planned out. At this point I would have spent like all my time realizing like I'm in a really dangerous position. It's now I use all my time, work everything out, and save a little bit of time, to finish the game or whatever. You don't just like, I'm going to play something and then I'll think about it when I have a lost position. Nefedov's lucky he's not lost, but I don't know what his time use was. But I'm definitely going to try to figure out the entire position here. I mean, maybe you have some creative move. Let's say like tricky way to castle queenside, like queen d6 or something. This is going to be a problem, right? And we're never going to be able to move out. But I mean, still, you could probably try knight d7 and trade it off. So what happens after that? For example, rook a e1, knight takes e5, pawn takes e5. Yes, it looks horrible, but maybe Nefedov can hold it, like queen g6. This type of position, he's got nowhere to go. He really should avoid the exchange of queens. The ending looks like it's dodgy, but possibly holdable. Even if he tries e6, you can try to, shovel out the dirt and maybe survive. I don't know. Maybe this is worse than I thought. Even that position, like here, takes bishop g7, threatening to take this with check. It's possible that black survives. Evaluation 0.8. But I mean, I think it's a really tough position. Black has to be work everything out in advance here before it's too late. Yes, and you are playing the Caro-Kann. So you tried this unnatural queen f6. And you could have played rook e1, I guess. If rook e1, then we do knight d7. And I think we're going to try to castle queenside ASAP. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't do rook a1. Maybe he should reserve the right to push the b pawn. Maybe you should keep this rook for like rook b1 and put the other one on e1. So if you try to castle queenside, he'll have play for b4. So let's say here, and then take ideas of b4, b5. Maybe a3, just for argument's sake. And now, what do you do? It looks like you can bail out and castle kingside now. Yeah, so Nefedov just kind of barely hanging on. Computer hated this move. Pawn takes pawn, knight e5, natural move, question mark. He should have played rook a e1. Rook a e1, threatening what? What exactly? Knight h4. Is there some sort of insane move like that? Maybe knight b5, I have a very weird feeling there's a tactic here. Did someone say knight takes d5? You guys, right? You know there's a tactic here. There's something bad about to happen to black. It's gotta be some funky tactic with the knights, like knight h4 or knight b5 or knight d5. Black has to be super careful. He's moving his king. So if knight d7, oh, you just trade rook takes, queen takes, rook e1. I mean, it's not easy to evaluate this. It's totally like crushing. I thought there would be something more devastating. The computer just wants to move your king. I don't think Nephi would have done that, and I don't think I would have done it either. You know, I guess bishop e7. Now you're just getting piled up on. This is a tough position. But knight h5, I blame it on knight h5. You were lucky, man. He's starting knight g6 here. That's why you didn't play knight d7, probably. And this poor guy played kind of natural moves. Nefedov just kept surviving. And all of a sudden, he's starting to castle queenside. That's a good move. Was that the engine's #1 move? Damn, is it Hans? I think it was Hans. Nefedov Hans. Wow, rook e3. Castles queenside. We are out of there. Wow. What a survival. Survivalist. And then here, and we're just totally out of the woods now. Wow. I mean, once he lets you take on e5 with the bishop and take away the backward pawn, you instantly are better. Yeah, Nefedov's pretty solid. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to sleep, Kolonoskopy guy. Yeah, we're going over viewer games. But no more submissions. It's too late. If you'd like to submit a game, if you're a subscriber, you can submit a game and I'll do it next week. I gotta go. This is our last game. But Nefedov, he knows how to play chess. And if he gets a good position, can be very strong. Delver. 92. And then, bam! Hans Niemann. Nefedov lost his internet connection at this time, so he missed the relay for rook takes f2. They said rook something, and he wasn't sure what the move was, so he played it safe. He knew it was a rook move, but decided to just play rook f5, just to be on the safe side. But the positional thing is the important thing. Nephi has a strong, basically, future protected pass pawn on d5. White's pawn on e5 is overextended. There's no pressure now. Look at those rooks. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those pieces tripled onto his e-pawn. And now black has pressure on the f-file. And that just like weakens white's position. Once Nefedov survived that disaster in the opening, he's just a better player, it seems like to me. He was busted though. He also like draws a little too much, so he was probably strongly tempted to repeat moves. It took all he had to not repeat 3 times there, because he's a nice guy. Now white's finally creaking, as they say. You gotta give white credit for hanging on, but now look at the coordination of the Nefedov force. Those 3 pieces, they're like Jedi masters. Even rook c3 was a good defensive move. And he just wins a piece. Okay, that's enough. That is game over. And then white, like, clearly needs to resign. Maybe it was a time scramble, but there should be an increment. Not a draw. Was that played on a DGT board? I gotta go, guys. I gotta go. But Nefedov, yeah, I don't like knight h5 in the opening. I mean, it looks like you're asking for trouble there. You were very lucky to get out of that. But your basic skills save the day, and the better player wins. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate the support. We're going to be back Friday morning with some rapid. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for hanging out with us. Astrobate, everybody. It's late here. I got to go. It was nice going over some games, having some fun, drinking some beers, and just relaxing with everybody. We'll be back Friday morning. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support for those of you who did donate. Thanks to EB and to all of you cooking rooks, so forth. Astrobate, those who donated today, Mr. Coffee. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.